Hey, welcome back to episode 6 of the Golden Grade podcast. Today we're going to be talking about monochrome photography.
Welcome back, everybody. My name's Joe.
And I'm Michael.
And today we're going to kind of talk about monochrome.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Have you ever taken a picture in monochrome?
I have taken no pictures in monochrome.
Zero.
Have
you edited into?
Yes, I've edited a few photos into monochrome.
You made them black and white.
Yeah, but I've never taken them with. I've never taken a photo with the intentionality of it being a monochrome photo, which I really see it. I understand that I'm lacking in that game because it's.
You should try it.
Well, it's a really popular thing, and I think you have a lot more to say about it because you do this all the time. There's a lot of great reasons to take monochrome photos.
I don't do it that much. Definitely, I don't do any kind of video like it.
Yeah, that's true.
I do more photography, but
it's a lot more popular in photography than videography.
Yeah.
I feel.
Well, so I have a little bit of notes about monochrome. Let me read you some things about monochrome.
All right, go for it.
So, most of production in video was mostly color in the 1970s, but before that, it was cheaper to run monochrome because of film. And now, because of digital cameras, it's stylistic.
Yeah, it's entirely a stylistic choice at this point. Yeah.
But
you're very hard pressed to find a camera that only shoots in a monochrome format.
Well, that and you can just drag your photos into Lightroom and make them black and white.
Yeah, of course.
But monochrome isn't specifically black and white. It's the variety.
Yeah.
Variety. Where is it?
The
variety of colors of a single hue.
I don't know if I like this.
What?
Yeah, I don't. This sort of fake British accent. I don't know how I feel about that.
You don't like my British accent?
You totally just switched from like a sort of fancy, like stiff upper lip to a Cockney.
With the curl in the mustache.
Yeah, you were curling your mustache, and then you were like from the slums or something.
How are you doing, Michael?
That is what?
I'm running out of accents.
Okay, you need to stop on the accents. Yeah, I mean monochrome is really
you just go right back into it.
We got to keep the podcast train rolling. Yeah, monochrome just means that all of the colors are the same, the hue is the same, and you're just dealing with like lights and darks. So you might like see black and white. Obviously there's no hue, it's all just either light or dark, but that's monochrome.
Yes.
And if it was all red tones that are either all the way white or all the way black, just like different variations of light red, like of red color, that's also monochrome.
Yeah. And I think it's actually very interesting to think about like how old video makers, all they had to worry about were basically light levels and saturation.
Yeah.
Like not saturation, contrast.
Yeah.
And it's crazy like how many more things you have to think about because of color.
And it is a little bit interesting because if you see like sort of like retouch or recolorized photos or videos, you can see like people like projecting their idea of what the scene looked like. But there's some interesting documentaries out there of like maybe choosing for somebody to wear a red shirt over a green shirt because it might be like roughly the same intensity in real life, but the red shirt might look darker to the camera just because of the way that light is interpreted on black and white film. So there was totally different color considerations. Now we get to take a photo not worrying about the colors and stuff, and then we can just desaturate it in Lightroom. And we have a whole range of options as well. You're not just talking like, you're not just locked into one sort of level of contrast. You can change the contrast. You can still change where the shadows and the highlights are. There's so much more options in the Develop tab in Lightroom now that you can really get a lot of different styles of monochrome photos as well.
Yeah, 100%. And I like to picture Charlie Chaplin wearing a bright orange suit and a green tie, and we just had no idea.
I mean, you might not be wrong necessarily. I don't know. Maybe some listeners can go dig up some information on the specific colors of suits and stuff like that in older Hollywood movies.
It just would be like insane if it was like Abbott and Costello.
Yeah.
They wear blue and like green suits, and nobody knew it because of all the black and white.
Except for the people on set. Yeah, could be.
So let me ask you a question.
Yes.
If I told you that I was going to strictly be a monochrome photographer for the rest of my life, what would you say?
I mean, honestly, I think it'd be really cool because I think that monochrome photography can really say a lot. You hear the saying less is more. That is totally true. And I think that's kind of why we still find it really attractive. It's not only kind of like a nostalgic thing, but it's also like, it kind of like distills a photograph down to what matters. Your composition matters a lot more. Your exposure, your editing matters a lot more, and your subject matter matters a lot more if you're not worried about colors. Because I think like if you see beginner photographers, a lot of the time they'll go in, they'll just crank the vibrance tab, or they'll crank the saturation, they'll boost all the colors, and sometimes it can look really nice to have some boosted colors and some more interesting saturation and stuff. But when you're in monochrome, man, you are focused on what really matters, which is your actual composition. And a really good monochrome photo, I think, speaks a little bit more sometimes. So I think it would be a super cool, interesting thing. And I know a lot of photographers deal specifically with monochrome photography as well.
Yeah. Have you ever watched Peter Walbeck, I think it is, Full-Time Filmmaker? I feel like I know. So he posted a video about like the first video he ever made, and it was shot literally with the saturation levels bumped. Oof. Like crazy. But
when was this, like mid 90s? When
I don't know. It was something for his like university or something. But
oh man,
to see like, because I follow him on like various social medias, and to see his work now from that overly saturated video is insane. It's just crazy how people can like develop and but actually that'd be really cool if you guys are listening, and we would love to see your first and last picture you've taken. Like professional picture, not like your 3-year-old picture, that not 3-year-old, but like when you were three
on some random digital camera your mom handed you.
The first picture you took out of your camera and the most recent picture that you took out of your camera. I would love to see that difference.
I don't even know if I have that original photo, honestly, but I'd be interested to see, because it's been a couple of years now.
You know what the first picture of that I took on my actual DSLR camera is?
What was that?
Take a guess. I guarantee you wouldn't guess what it is. It's ridiculous. Think of painting.
Was it a cup of dirty paint water?
No.
No.
It was a small statue of Bob Ross.
Like a painted statue of Bob Ross?
Yeah, it was like from...
That's awesome.
It was like a $5 little statue that I got for Christmas.
That is amazing. Okay, I mean, I think my first picture was a picture of my old camera. With my R6, my first picture was a picture of my T2i. That wasn't my first professional photo.
So what was the first picture of the T2i?
What do you mean?
That was your first
My first picture with the T2i?
Yeah.
Oh man, we're talking like years and years ago. But when I was actually starting to pursue photography 4 years ago, maybe even 4 or 5 years ago, we had a spring snow, and this is before you were living around here, and our crabapple tree bloomed. And if you've never seen a crabapple tree bloom, super dense with bright pink flowers. It's beautiful.
Oh, it's cool.
They're
like a cherry blossom?
Yeah, they look like cherry blossoms. They really look a lot like sakura trees. And in a heavy snow just dumped on. So these sakura looking, you know.
Is your computer making that noise?
Yeah, that's my computer. These like sakura looking leaf petals and like just snow on top. So I got some really cool shots of that, and I think that was my first professional photo.
I would love to see that if you could dig it up.
You know what though? Maybe we'll throw that in the show notes if we can. But you know what though? That brings me back to monochrome, because some of those would look really cool monochrome, especially in like a sepia tone. Nature photography looks awesome in black and white. I mean, that's just a personal preference. And I think architectural photography is my favorite, because you get some of those deep shadows you get from big buildings and stuff like that. You can really see like windows pop when you're taking in black and white. I feel like if you have a really strong subject, and a lot of the times buildings can be really strong subjects, you have a couple of photos around. I saw you hung up one of your photos of a building in New York, I think it is.
It's the Freedom Tower. I took that last December.
Yeah.
And I was dealing with a lot of, I don't know if I want to hang up my own art because it seems conceited. And I finally kind of caved after the wall in my bathroom was so blank, and it made the bathroom look empty. Yeah. And I was like, all right, fine. So I caved, I put it up there, and I couldn't have been happier.
But those are some really good looking photos. And part of what makes them so good is that they're monochrome.
Yeah. Well, the tree one that I hung up, that was a beautiful orange and yellow, and it, like, right off the camera, looked gorgeous. Didn't have to edit at all.
Yeah.
But I changed all of the orange and yellow and all that to different various shades of teal, and it just made it look like a tree from like an anime,
like Narnia or something.
Yeah, some crazy crap.
World. And I think that is kind of goes to some of the powers of monochrome, because we're not just talking black and white and sepia, which I think are definitely the most common ways to take monochrome photos.
I prefer sepia.
It's not sepia. We talked about this
before.
It's
not spelt like that.
It's not spelt like sepia, but you know what? English is an unfair, bad language.
It is a stupid language.
Yep, it's broken, and we got to deal with the hand that we're dealt.
I'm calling it sepia.
It's sepia.
I don't care.
Anyways, it's not just black and white and sepia. You can have a monochrome photo that is completely like a different color, and it's pretty easy to do that with like a color overlay in Photoshop or something like that. It's not so easy to do it in Lightroom, but in Photoshop's pretty easy to do.
Well, most modern cameras have the ability to do it in camera body. You don't even have to bring it into Lightroom.
That's fair.
But my favorite picture I ever took in black and white was, I actually took it in black and white in camera, was a picture of my dog next to the Christmas tree.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I had a 50 prime lens. And I was so close to the dog. His name's Puppy. Well named.
The dog's name, are you saying
the dog's name is Puppy? Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that, but okay, anyway.
So I took a picture next to him. You can't even see the tree. All you see is the lights from the tree in like circles. It'll look gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean, my first taste of professional photography is a similar situation. Got the T2i. I must have been 16, maybe, and now I'm 23. So that's like 7-ish years ago, give or take. And we got that 50 prime. And it was like it's not a super low aperture lens, like that. It's old kit lens, but we got that 50 prime, and man, just going around taking some photos of literally anything, and it all looks
anything
so good.
and everything.
Yeah, it all looks so good.
Well, that's the main goal of this podcast, is to encourage you to go out and take photos, take videos, like edit, like do anything you want to do that's fun. Yeah, it's all production. Yeah, and creativity plays a big role in it. There's just so many ways to be creative in this kind of industry. Yeah. Just content creation itself. Like, you could play around with lights and a camera for hours. Yeah. But, I don't know.
And real quick before we get off the topic of monochrome photos, I want to talk about split toning. Split tones. So, a lot when you say split tones, I think there might even be in Lightroom Classic a module called split toning. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about having 2 tones in your photo. So the common way to do this is with the I guess it's technically luminosity versus hue is the technical name for that curve, and I think it's called split toning in the color tab in Lightroom Classic. But anyways, you push the shadows to one direction. So you may, in the really common example, is you make your shadows teal, and then you make your mid-tones orange. And that kind of makes skin tones look nice and orange, and like the shadows look cool. And the teal and orange are the colors of our logo, and they look really good together because they're split complementary, or they're complementary colors. So if you can find, especially with complementary colors and stuff like that, explore taking all the saturation out of your photo, then using split toning, you can push, one of the like the darks, the shadows to one side, and the highlights and the mid-tones to the other side. And it's not technically monochrome. There's going to be 2 up to 3 different tones in there, but it's a really interesting way to isolate very specific parts of your image based on like how bright they are, based on luminosity, which is something that a lot of people don't really usually do. Yeah. But I definitely encourage playing around with split toning if you're not already using that when you're color grading, and that's a lot more common in film, I think. I think photographers kind of stay away from the, honestly.
I live in that color chart.
Same, I do as well. Yeah, especially when I'm video editing. Oh my goodness, guys, I touch the color grade on almost everything because I really like getting that extra 2-3%. Like recently, I shot a video for a client. It looked great. The set was amazing. But it just needed a little bit more. Yeah. And so I went into the color tab and DaVinci Resolve, and I did a little bit of color grading, and it was worth it. So I encourage split toning as well.
I think there's a lot of diminishing return when it comes to color grading. Like
absolutely,
you color grade perfectly, it looks great. And then you got to put in another hour for 5%, another 2 hours for 1 more percent.
maybe not hours, but yeah, I mean, there's definitely a really quick diminishing returns when it comes to color grading. But yeah, here, I found this picture. Do you like
oh my God, that's awesome.
This is one of my first, this might actually be the first thing I consider a professional photo.
So people who are listening on podcast, we're going to throw that up on our Facebook page if you want to check it out. And I think TikTok does photos now.
Does TikTok do photos?
Yeah, I think since So I think what happened was TikTok started doing TikTok, and then Instagram did Reels to copy TikTok, and then TikTok's like, no, we're gonna copy you now, and now we have photos.
Okay, interesting.
With background audio.
All right, well we'll throw some of those first and last photos up. Yeah, we would love to see what you guys have. So if you guys have any first and last professional photos, please feel free to share those with the page.
Any photos that you think look awesome, send them.
Sure, we'd love to throw those out there.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's get on to questions.
All right.
So these are all Reddit questions. Again, please, people, ask us questions on TikTok and Facebook. We would love to see your questions and answer them.
Yep.
So the first one is from Reddit user Invoker2348.
Okay.
I'm starting to really hate Instagram. Are there any alternatives for photographers publishing their work?
I think you have an answer for this, and I'm not going to disagree.
I have two answers for this.
Okay.
In the professional world, I would say there is no substitute for a website.
That is absolutely true.
As a content creator and having fun, Vero.
Yeah, okay.
Only reason I know, I am not going to take credit for this, the only reason I know Vero exists is because of Peter McKinnon. And he has pushed it so hard, and I feel like all these photographers are migrating over to Vero because it really is. It's great for photos, and it saves almost at full resolution.
Yeah, so if you don't know what Vero is, it's an app. You can get it on your desktop, like an actual desktop app, as well as your phone. And there's a browser version too, but I don't know if you can post from it. But it basically is specifically for photographers. It's like kind of emulating that old Instagram days.
Yeah.
Like these are super high resolution photos. Yeah,
you can post videos and stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, it's heavily focused on
photography.
Exclusively for photographers and videographers who are wanting to share their work. So I mean, you're not going to get a lot of spams. There's not a lot of thoughts.
You get mostly what you get more photos and stuff from the people you actually follow, and not just algorithms,
not just random ads like on my Instagram feed. And I think he was complaining about it in his video, and then on my Instagram feed it's garbage. I don't
get anything from people I follow anymore.
I maybe see 10% is from people I'm following, 30% is random people I don't know, and then the other literally half of my feed is about ads, and that's not a joke, and reels that it's trying to push, and I don't want to watch these reels.
Well, that's meta for you.
Yeah, I mean, Instagram has gone so downhill, it's not even funny. I really don't like that platform. And I used to love Instagram. I used to use it all the time. And I know a lot of people are complaining about this. I mean, this is a common thing. It's in the news every other week, I feel like. But yeah, I mean, Instagram, unfortunately, it's not, especially for photography, it's not really what it used to be. Now,
for anything.
The problem with Vero is that there's not as many people on the platform, and it's harder to grow a brand on the platform. But if you are really just a photographer, like you just want to share your work, it's a great place.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're not going to get maybe business through Vero because everybody else on there already can do what you're doing, probably even better, honestly. And there's not a lot of people who aren't photographers. So if you're looking for business or you're looking to expand your brand, Vero is not quite the place to do it, but it's still a really cool place. And but if you are looking to expand your brand, get a website, man.
Websites are the way to go when it comes to photography.
Yeah.
You even if you get a Wix website and it's free, I recommend Wix over Squarespace any day. Wix is just...
I disagree.
Oh my god, Wix is so much better. You know, in Squarespace, you can't edit the mobile version.
That's not true.
You can't edit it.
That's not true.
Compared to Wix, yes.
Squarespace websites are already mobile optimized.
It's not. You can't add the spacers and the lines the way you want to.
Yeah.
It's automatically set.
Squarespace has come out with a new flow editor, is what it's called. This is like a week ago as of recording.
Okay.
So they actually do have like a drag and drop sort of editor that's very similar to Wix now. But I mean, even honestly, for photography, all you really need to do is host a photo gallery, and in a 6-week course on like Skillshare or whatever, not a sponsor, you could probably learn how to make a website that's suitable enough to host your own photos. Anything at all. Anything that can host photos is good enough. Might not look maybe the cleanest, but I mean, seriously, like if you want to be a professional, you should just host a website for sure. Get a gallery going.
All right.
So yeah, Vero and a website. Facebook, this not good. I can't.
Not good.
Facebook is not good for photography. I can't even think of anything else, honestly. So Vero is kind of it.
Yeah.
Unfortunate. We're in an unfortunate spot
Visco
right
too.
now.
Isn't Visco like something, or does that not exist anymore?
I don't even know if Visco actually exists anymore. Let's check. We're gonna check right now. We're doing live research. Visco.
Visco.
It does appear to be still going, but I don't know.
I don't know. Just use Vero.
Yeah, basically Vero's the only other option, but it's just going to be lower engagement, and you got to be prepared for that. But it is by far the best way to view other people's photos online. All right.
So quickly, what keeps you motivated?
I noticed you didn't read the Reddit username, and I want to know why.
The Reddit username is Poopy Butthole.
Okay.
And the reason I am upset about that is there's no Mister in front of it. If you watch Rick and Morty, you will understand.
Yeah, I mean, Reddit user Poopy Butthole asks, what keeps you motivated?
With a 1, not an L.
Sorry, yeah. Poopy Butthole 1. Oh. Okay, anyways. So, Mr. Poopy Butthole, what keeps me motivated? Honestly, ever since I was a kid, I've just wanted to create things. And I think for me, it's telling stories. And I think I mentioned that on the podcast before. For me, it's telling stories. And I get to do that with my job, thankfully. And in my creative pursuits at school and outside my personal career, I really like telling stories. That's why I like doing wedding videos. I like to give that to people. I like that. That's like a good service for me to offer, because I like being able to tell people stories and capture those special moments. And for me, it's really just I have this sort of like fire, I guess, to just keep creating stuff. When I just like go for a week without making anything, I feel like I just
wasted a week.
I feel like I haven't showered in a week is what it feels like. I feel gross inside. And not all people have that. I think especially photographers and videographers, a lot of the times they don't count themselves as artists, and they feel like they don't have that sort of special sauce that some artists do. So I mean, I sympathize with that, because I a lot of times feel that way. And when I get in those moments, I try to just consume as much media from other people as possible. Yeah. People who are doing really cool stuff, I will just watch their videos and look at their photos and check out what they're doing, and just try to emulate that, even if I'm not feeling inspiration, because you just have to keep creating and keep that inspiration flowing. And you also need to learn when it's time to take a break. Try to not literally push yourself to the edge.
Why don't you learn how to take a break?
It's a great question. I do need to learn how to take a break, and one day I'll get there, and I feel that really bad. But taking a break can
my
go
poor
along.
Friend.
Taking a break can help you.
For just pennies a day, you can save my Michael.
Well, Joe, what keeps you motivated? Poopy Butthole needs to know.
So what keeps me motivated is taking pictures and people wondering how I got the shot. Just the idea, like, I did a levitation photo of my girlfriend 2 weeks ago, and I posted up on Facebook and Vero.
That was epic.
And I had so many people ask me, how did you do that?
Yeah.
And I'm willing to tell them. It's a composite. I took 2 photos and got rid of the stool, so it looked like she was floating.
We should talk about composites soon.
Why don't we do that next episode?
Let's talk about composites next episode.
But yeah, I just want people to know.
Yeah.
Just like how to do it. It's cool.
Yeah. When you get something that's just like that, you're scrolling through your feed, you stop and you have to scroll back. Like you have something special, and I feel like that was one of those photos where I was kind of scrolling by and I was like, wait a minute, what did I just look at? It's a real eye catcher. So yeah. So those sort of moments are really good too. Yeah, for sure. All right.
So the last question of the day: what is the best way to mark your photos so people won't steal them?
I might have a different answer than you, but you go.
So the way I would mark my photos is just upload them in low resolution.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you have the better copy, and nobody can get those pixels back. I don't care how good AI is, but if you're shooting on a 30 megapixel camera and you upload to Facebook's compression, anyone who steals that, they're not gonna have the detail you have. At the end of the day, you could prove it's yours.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, if you were able to have a much higher resolution copy, and honestly, I'm not that precious about the stuff I make.
No, I'm not either.
I would encourage you to consider uploading a decent amount of your photos under like free or not free use, but under like fair use, under Creative Commons license. Make sure you research Creative Commons and you know what that means. But honestly, I would encourage you to consider that, because there is a little bit of lack of certain types of images, and it's also good to learn to let things go. And people on the internet can make some really cool stuff with it. If you're not gonna make money off of it already, if you are gonna make money off of it, don't release it. You feel free to profit off of that. But if you're not really gonna make a lot of money off of it, maybe a couple cents or whatever, then kind of just like let it go. Let your art be free. Art really loves to be free, and people do cool things with it. But also watermarks. if it is a service that you're providing, say a wedding photo or something like that, and these are demos, then yeah, watermarks are a great way. You make a logo, write your signature. If you don't have either of those, just put the text watermark, just like drop the opacity on it. Lightroom, I recently had to do this. Lightroom has a watermarking feature that allows you to bulk edit. Lightroom Classic, I haven't done this in Lightroom, the Creative Cloud version, but I know you can. And then like Adobe Bridge as well lets you do that. There's some other programs that just batch watermark your photos for you.
I'm sure there's third-party apps.
Oh yeah, there is.
You could throw it into. And
maybe IrfanView does that. That's a freeware program. It's really janky, but I think that one can do it as well. All right.
I would say also as far as watermarking goes, if someone's gonna steal your photos and they know how to use Photoshop, they can get around a watermark.
Yeah, watermarks aren't a great solution. If the resolution is so low that they can't get it back, that's what you really want to go for.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, if you are serving clients, your watermark is going to be, they're not gonna take it off. They're not going to know how to take it off. If someone really wants to take your photo, the only way around it is to upload in a lower resolution.
Yeah, but I also, again, I encourage you to be a little bit less precious. Try it out. See what other people can do with your stuff, because you'll probably find that they do some really cool stuff with it.
Yeah.
All right.
So this is the Would You Rather segment.
All right.
This is obviously one of our most popular segments.
All right.
And I have quite a question for you, and I think you could say. Oh no, you can't say it. So, would you rather sepia with great glass or black and white with a kit lens for the rest of your life?
Okay, this is interesting because we're not just talking about would it be monochrome or not. We're talking about the type of monochrome and the glass.
Yep.
Now, black and white, I think more people regard as
much rather just black and white in general.
Sepia has its place, but only in very rare circumstances.
But you get that good glass.
Yeah, but it looks really good. Now, am I allowed to change this to black and white when I edit?
No.
Okay.
That would remove all of the limitations.
Yeah, okay. I absolutely have to say black and white with a kit lens if I'm not allowed to color grade, and that sucks.
I know.
This is a terrible question, and I hate
you say that every week.
This one's pretty gross. The kit lens. I mean, no. I'm changing my answer. I'm gonna do sepia because I will just lean into that style and I know what I'm taking, and I will be getting tack sharp sepia images and it'll look great.
Well, I hope you enjoy living in the 50s. It's going to be great for you.
I mean, hey, if I lean into it, then maybe it'll be really good. Oh man, I think
that's a rough question.
Yeah, but I think that with the kit lens, we're talking about like an aperture of 5.6 and a really crappy zoom.
No, I'll give you that 4 to 5.6. It's pretty much just crappy version of your glass.
Okay.
Well, you get the same distance, like focal length and everything.
I'm gonna stick with sepia. You know what? I'm gonna stick with sepia because I'm going to lean into it. I'm gonna make that my thing, and it's gonna be really cool.
Oh, I'm still going black and white. I can't do it. I can't. I agree, it has its place, but I could not live with a sepia.
All right.
Sepia. I'm sorry.
Stop.
It's
not sepia.
All right. Well, we have our answers, and I think that kind of wraps up the podcast for today.
All right.
Thank you guys so much for joining us, and check us out on TikTok, Facebook, definitely not Instagram, Vero maybe. And you guys have a wonderful day.
Yeah. Oh, and if you have any questions, please leave them below. And leave a rating on all the platforms. We really appreciate it. All right. Peace out, guys.
Peace.